Hey guys, welcome back. It's Claytano. Thanks so much for tuning in as always. And today's video is the advanced beginner guide. And this is the fastest way to get to 300,000 power. If you guys haven't watched my previous videos, I have an intermediate one and just a ultimate beginner guide getting to 100,000 power and then 200,000 power and then now 300,000 power. And of course, you guys know what's next when I get to 400,000 power. So without further ado, let's get into it. As you guys can see, I am at 328,000 power. I'm going to go over basically how I got there and the easiest way for you guys to get there as well. Doesn't necessarily have to mean that you got to pull out your credit card. It just means that you got to play more and you got to use your resources that you get from the game. So first off, let's talk about monsters. I do this in every single video, and the reason why is because this is the easiest way to actually level up your power is to get your monsters powered up as well. So this is something you have to pay attention to while you're building your account. You have to make sure you're focusing on 3, 4, maybe 5 monsters now for your content, maybe even 6 monsters. So up to 200,000, you can do that pretty easily with 3 to 4 monsters. You're going to want to build out your repertoire a bit more to clear higher end content. The higher end content is going to give you better gear and allow you to progress farther in the game. So for this, you're going to want to be able to beat all of your B15 dungeons for your path of growth because runes are very important as well. Not only that, but your monster growth for sure is going to play into getting to 300k. It's actually going to be very hard to get to 300k without fully maxed monsters, even 5 stars. Like they have to be 4 to 5 stars fully maxed. And what I mean by that is close to 15 awakening. The skills are all maxed, and really put into just a few monsters. For me, Bastet was an easy one because I got a ton from the event. And then Camilla was the one that I put all of my Devilmon into. I put all of my Devilmon into one monster. And if you have them spread across multiple monsters, think about possibly resetting those, getting the Devilmon back, and then throwing them all into one monster that you feel like is going to be a core on your team for a very long time. For me, I think it's Camilla. I love Arena. She's great in Arena. She's good in other situations as well. So I put everything into her. She was also my selective summon choice. I have her up to Awakening 11 because I pulled another dupe Camilla. I think I made a video on that as well. You guys saw that previously. But I was able to get her up to 11. Once I get another one, I'll be able to get her up to 13, which you can see the power just starts increasing dramatically. There's a ton of Devilmon, ways to get Devilmon that you don't have to pay for them. And that's another way to actually get your skills maxed. So you have one from the event, you have one from just skilling up using Devilmon, and then you have other options to help you progress throughout the game. So that's important. They all have to be level 70, of course. You're not going to get to 300,000 power if you're not all level 70. You're not going to get to 300,000 power if you don't have like monsters with close to max skills or max skills. And you're not going to get to 300,000 power if you're not up to at least 10-star awakening at this point. Be careful watching this video if you haven't watched my other videos though, because if you go up too far on the awakening stars and you don't have your skill ups first and foremost, and if you don't have your your levels and you're doing things a little bit differently and you're skipping, make sure you go back and watch those videos because there's prioritizations that need to be prioritized. Words, love them. So focus on that. That's step one. Those are where your monsters need to be for 300,000 power. The next thing, your summoner needs to be sick. Okay, I have a level 63 Orbia, and if you guys don't know, you have to get your transcendence. You have to make sure you get your transcendence up so you can continue leveling past 60. You can get all the way up to level 70, which is great, but these things are inherently hard to get. I think you need 5 for this one, 10 for this one, and then 20, 30, 50. They're hard to get. You can get them from dungeons. So this goes back to, again, making sure that you're using all of your resources that you get on a daily basis, meaning energy. You don't have to do there's not unlimited refreshes like there was in Sky Arena. For this, it's very set. You have 3 refreshes. You get enough crystals from the game every single day to be able to use your refreshes and basically keep up with everyone else who's paying money on summons. Summons aren't really the way to get to 300,000 power. So I know I'm saying this as a from a pay to win perspective, but trust me, I have people who are playing the game free to play who can absolutely get to 300,000 power without paying. Next, um, so this is where you get your essences, and then from there you alchemy them into the higher tier. Right? So you go to profession, it's alchemy, and you just level them up. So that's something you need to have done as well, up to as high as you can go. You could probably do it at level 1, but level 2 is better. And it's just an extra thing in the game that's doesn't take other resources. I mean, it's 400,000 gold, so I say that kind of like timidly, apprehensively, but that's something that's going to help you get to 300,000 power. Your well, yeah, we'll talk about equipment. So your equipment is also very important at this point. I think I said in the last videos, get most of your equipment to +6. This one you're going to want to start getting to +9. Everything to +9, you're going to want to focus on which ones you're specifically building. For example, I had some pretty good rolls on crit damage and attack on the dark one. I had some pretty good rolls here. So you're going to want to not just have good gear, like have your gear plus 12. Obviously, you don't even need +12. That's actually probably going to be going to 400k power, but +9 is probably the most you need to go to. And you're going to want to focus on the gear that you're leveling up because the resources for this are extremely, extremely minimal. So you don't want to waste them on things that aren't going to give you extra power. For me, I wanted crit damage because I'm an Orbia and it's helpful. So one thing that you can do is do the party dungeon, raid, White Shadow Castle. This will give you some good gear. And if you don't get good gear, then you can go up here and buy it from here. You could also go to Foggy Prison, do the same thing. If you don't get good gear from the drops, you can buy it from the Foggy Prison shop. And almost always the ones you buy are going to be better than the ones you get from drops. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you're doing your raids every single day. You can get 2 of them, and then you can refresh. Same thing with your tickets too, right? Okay. The next thing after you're doing your gear is, again, you're wanting to level it up, but not just level it up, but you want to add in your enchantments. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You're getting all these like little things that take up storage and just sit in your box, right? So you definitely want to go and use them. So this one here, I have accuracy on there, but you can get something else and put it in there. So uh, I think that's for a specific. So this system's a little weird for me still. So this actually goes on to accessories. Yeah. So I was trying to put it on a weapon. So it's very specific to a different type of equipment. So just keep that in mind. Don't necessarily just like auto sell them because they help. They surprisingly help more than they probably should just by adding these little things in. The other thing is you can do the same thing with runes, right? You can add these skill books onto runes, and it helps out your extra power. Don't just throw them away. You got these like crit rate 3.4%. That's pretty good. You put that on a rune, and that's 3.4%. That's actually huge. If you put that on every single rune, six times 3.4 is 7, 14, 21. Is that 21%? 6, 12. Yeah, that's 21%. Close to it anyway, like 20.5 or something like that. But super, super, super important. And just put it on there. You can always change them. Don't feel like you're wasting them for the most part. But I would use them. It helps the power a lot. The next thing is when you're using your path of growth entries, don't if you're really looking to optimize, don't refresh your entries, this one up here, and don't refresh your the crystal entries if it's not on a 15 dungeon. Meaning, I mean, so you can watch the other videos. In order to get to the 15 dungeon, you're gonna have to refresh probably a little bit on like 9 when it's on bonus because you can get 5-star heroes. You can't get 5-star heroes when it's not on bonus on 9, so 9 plus. But that's how you get to 200,000. If we're trying to get to 300,000, you need to be refreshing on bonus at level 15. So for me, I'm not really focused on getting these types of runes. I'm focused on getting these runes at level 15, and I'm focused on getting these runes at level 15. So these are the only ones that I've been really refreshing. Tear Glands Cave and Lava Cave. This this is not something you should be wasting your resources on, in my opinion. Um, it's funny that they put this like the hardest boss, and again, in my opinion, they put the hardest boss with the worst rune sets. At least that's my opinion for now. It could change, right? It could change. Maybe accuracy is going to be super useful. Maybe precision is going to be super useful. So we'll see. But for now, I'm focusing on those two dungeons, and you guys should probably do the same. You have a dungeon that gives you good stuff for tanks and good stuff for damage dealers, and then you have another one that gives you just straight damage dealers. But you can use tanky runes from Lava Cave. Like this is good for tanks and this is good for damage dealers. So you get a little bit of both from Lava Cave, which I think is like really, really, really beneficial where you can farm both at the same time. And then Tear Glands is just good all around just for damage dealers. That's great. Obviously, Queen Spider's Next is good for tanks if you're trying to get better tanks. Forgotten Earth Shrine, probably not so good unless you're looking for specifically defense runes because your monsters do, damage based on defense or like their skills scale based on defense. Laboratory Madness, probably not something that you're going to farm ever. So focusing on farming the right ones at the right time, that's going to help you get to 300,000 power as well because runes are super important for your monsters. And certain runes are going to give you better things. Other runes are going to give you less things. It's going to be a little bit counterintuitive because some of the runes that you're looking at should give you more power, but then it doesn't. So also keep that in mind as well when you're kind of switching out your runes. It's not always necessarily about power, it's about stats. And some stats are weighted heavier than other stats, and it might not necessarily be the best for your comp to have higher power in certain situations. Most of the time it's correct, but in certain situations it's not correct. When you're focusing on your runes, because this is very focused and very important, you have to have the correct runes on the correct monsters at this point. Like if you're a Camilla, you have to have HP percent and defense percent. You have to have both. So I have 46,000 plus HP, but I have a little bit of defense. I have good resistance. I have good evasion, accuracy, right? Like I don't need accuracy, but what I'm trying to say is you have to have very specific runes for the specific monsters that you're building. You can't put attack on Camilla. I mean, you could, but you can't put attack runes on just tank monsters, and you can't put tank runes on attack monsters. That's not going to help you. That's not going to help you. Same thing with Bastet. She wants HP. She wants defense. She wants, accuracy is good for her as well, right? Because she has attack down skill, right? So you have to kind of think about those things, right? You have to start thinking about rune sets if you want to get to 300,000 power. Damage dealers have to be high crit rate, high crit damage, high attack, right? Attack, crit damage, attack, speed, crit damage, attack. You have to use the right runes on your slot 4s. Understand that slot 4 is the only rune that can have crit damage or crit rate. So crit damage for damage dealers on slot 4 with a good amount of crit rate from the other runes combined is going to be your best bet for the most damage you can get from it. My power on my Tessarion is low because the only difference on my Tessarion, which I think has a better rune set than my Camilla, is the fact that his skills aren't leveled up. So that's, again, how important leveling up your skills are. I don't even think I have him Awakened 10. I do. Okay. But yeah, so skills. So he's Awakened 10, 68,000 power, compared to Camilla, who's Awakened 11, which isn't going to be that much, right? 1,000 CP, 1,000 power. The skill ups on her are what give her an extra 20,000 power. Do you guys see where I'm coming from with this? Like, it's crazy how much skills actually do for power, but it makes sense because of the absolute damage, like 200% of damage versus 100% of damage. 830, like you literally get double the damage. So that's super important. Another thing that's super important is you have to build, don't make this mistake, because I made this mistake. When you go to Trial Ascension, you get these things up here called Knight's Shields, and you put them on here. You guys have to be building this. Okay? This is another really good way to get to 300,000 power, believe it or not, because it actually translates from Trial of Ascension to everywhere else in the game. This is just something that you build, and it gives your monsters stats everywhere. So this you get from Trial of Ascension. I spent 100,000 of these things on a stupid mount, and I wish I didn't, because this gives you a ton of power just by doing this, Power of Ascension stuff. The way to get more is by going into Spire and then going to, say, let's go to a floor. There's a challenge here. And so the challenge is to place both Dark Attribute monsters and Mage monsters in one team. So then you have to come in here. You have to say, all right, I need a Dark Attribute monster. I need a Mage monster. I only have one Mage monster, which is this thing. And then you have to go beat it. Obviously, at lower levels, it's easier because it's just an easier floor, right? So that's how you get these other ones. You get this one from it, you get this one from the second one, and then you get this one from the third one. And then you go in and then you use them here, and you click on these, and it says this is how much you need, and you say unlock, and you get extra power from this. This is something that's going to help you min-max and push beyond certain stages as well. So super important. Dark, level 35, this is a great way to get an extra Devilmon from your area quest, and your area quest, right? Area exploration. If you go down to Light Dark, and you go to Story 2, that is a Devilmon sitting there waiting for you. It's not easy. It's not easy to get 3 dark monsters. The ones I used were kind of difficult. I didn't spend a whole lot of resources on them. I did Shumar. I had this random Devindon because I needed a tank. Obviously, almost any other tank monster is going to be better than Devindon. And then I used Sorin. I was able to max her skills. Obviously, I was able to max Shumar's skills as well. At Devindon, I put like some random lizard man into this, but I got the worst skill ups. And I was like, you know what? At least it helped me get to 35. But if I wanted to, which is another tip that I'm going to tell you guys, you can actually do your area quests on other characters, right? If you build an Orbia to start, and then you also build a Kina and a Cleef, you can come back into your area quests, your area exploration on a different character and do them all over again. So you can get 2 more Devilmons from this by completing Dark 35. So something to keep in mind. And another way to help you get to 300,000 power is by building those other characters, taking the skill books that you get from those other characters. So for example, you'll do these. You get 5 skill books. Don't open them on your other characters. Open them on the main character that you want to build. So you get them on the other character. you get them on your Kina, you get them on your Cleef, and then you come back to your Orbia, you go to your bag, it's still there unopened. You open up that skill book, and then you go into your skills, and then you can use it on your skills. Yeah. So another thing that's super important to get to 300,000 power. So these are the things you kind of have to start thinking of. There's not too much else. The one thing that really pushed me past is having two Nat 5s that were pretty much fully skilled and as awakened as I could possibly get them. Obviously, Bastet is going to be able to be awakened 10 very soon. And Camilla, one of these days, I'm going to get all these. Camilla, okay, here's another thing. Go to your mystical summons here. Go to blessings. And so when you put your monsters, I went over this in another video, but I'm going to do it again. When you put your monsters in here, you're going to be able to have a higher chance to get this blessing. Meaning, if you summon a Nat 5, you have a 40% chance that it's going to be one of your Nat 5s that are in the blessing if you summon from this altar. If you summon from this thing. I don't think, yeah, it does not apply to this, but it applies to your regular summons. And you have a higher chance to get the ones that you're looking for skill ups, because skill ups are so important. Awakening is so important. But that's why I have Camilla there ready to go, because I want more of her, because I need more of her in order to go to awaken 12, which is 20 pieces. 14 is another 20 pieces. That's another Camilla. That's two more Camillas. And then I have two more Camillas that I need to get for level 15. But I absolutely will be going to level 15 with Camilla. I'll be going to level 15 with Bastet. And the good news is that if I ever pulled a Sekhmet, which I think would be more beneficial than Bastet, I would go with, I would just run in to my bag here, and I would, yeah, I would just reset. I think I'm putting it in my storage, yeah. So if you go into your storage, there's some things here you can use. Transfer amount settings. Oh, restoration stone. I don't know why I read that like it was the item's name. Anyway, this is what you would use. You restore it. You put all those skill ups, those resources into somebody else. I'll probably do that eventually if I ever got a segment. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I know that, like I said, there's a lot of information in these. If you guys haven't watched the other videos, the Ultimate Beginner Guide and the Intermediate Beginner Guide, this is the Advanced Beginner Guide. Make sure you guys do that, because there's information that needs to be kind of progressed through simultaneously. You can't just come to this video and say, this is everything that I need, I'm going to do this from the start, because if you do that and you go to Awaken 10, you're going to be in for a harder game. So hopefully this helped you guys. If it did, always, like, subscribe because I post more videos all the time. And as we progress through the game, there's going to be more content. This is where you're going to get the most helpful information. I have a Discord channel as well with all the top players in the server, in the game in general. There's a link for that down below in my social media links. It's discord.gg/Claytano. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this game as much as I am. I've been having a lot of fun with it. But other than that, thanks guys for watching. As always, stay soupy, don't do potatoes, and I'll see you guys next time.